Hello everyone, my name is Civ Extraordinaire and welcome to another video. For today's video, I wanted to take a bit of an abstract look at Victoria 3, not from the guise of a general strategy game player and enjoyer, but specifically as a Civ 6 player and, as someone that really loves the Civilization 6 franchise. While it is in the same vein as Victoria in that they are both strategy games and they follow some very similar themes and tropes regarding the strategy genre, they definitely have their fair share of differences, and I thought it would be interesting, or maybe not, but just to give my opinion as someone that has played Civ 6 and the Civilization franchise for a while, has enjoyed Civ 4, Civ 6, and many of the different iterations and mods and DLCs for the game, and I just wanted to give some of my general brief impressions. So, as someone that has dabbled a little with Victoria and the Victoria franchise in the past, I've only touched Victoria 2, and just for a brief while, I just have to say I'm very impressed that Paradox has tried to keep a faithful iteration with the franchise. But, as a Civ 6 player and with the topic of the video, I'm curious to see just how much actual time management you have to do regarding your civilization and whether that carries over into international conflicts, whether there's something like a World Congress, and how power structures really work out. Because I have to admit, Civ 6 has definitely been lacking in terms of an overall and overarching approach to diplomatic affairs, resource management, and some terminologies and some definitions in which you have to manage simple things like iron. It's not too complex. And then, of course, the famous pop system from Victoria 3 that everyone, and I guess the Victoria franchise as a whole, but just to see the famous pop system from Victoria 2, as a matter of fact, and see what Victoria 3 really has to offer and how much they're going to continue on to develop that. Speaking of pop systems, Victoria 2 had a famous and just beloved, at least in my opinion, I always loved the pie charts. Now, I don't see any specific pie charts here, but I've always felt that Civ 6 has been missing some of that characterization, some of that role-playing aspect where you can really interact with your empire, the people in your empire, and as someone that likes to dabble with a little bit of RP here and there, that is something that Civ 6 is definitely, and Civilization 4 even, and 5, for a matter of fact, the latter half of the franchise has just been really lacking some of that RP flavor. Now I will admit that Civ 6 definitely seems to have the graphical edge. I know this is in a very, very early alpha. They don't even say like pre-alpha, they just say early footage. So it's like super early. They just came out with this video, arms swinging, and they wanted to announce to the world that Victoria 3 was here, but just due to the fact that they don't even know what year this game will release in, tells me that there is still some way to go along with the graphics. So I know Imperator Rome improved a lot just in 1 year due to constant dev development. So given at least 2 or 3 years, at least I think this game will only release in like 2022 or 2023 at the latest. This could definitely improve, but the graphics, I have to say, compared to Civ 6, which isn't too high of a standard, are definitely lacking. One other concern that I have as a Civ 6 player is the balance of different countries and civilizations, no pun intended, of course, because just as Victoria 3 kind of capitalizes, also no pun intended, on the different economies and infrastructure throughout the world, I know, and like in hindsight, Victoria 2 had some problems with representing different systems, like with Japan being considered essentially barbarians in Victoria 2, at least the last time I played it, and some other problems regarding, I think, the lack of development with colonization mechanics and just kind of how that's structured. I'm really hoping Victoria 3 develops and continues to develop, since Civilization has a very limited system and form of colonization, if there's even a system at all. I just hope that Victoria 3 again improves on this and tries to really just establish a good base from which DLC and modders can also continue to work on the series. I think it's no secret that Paradox and Civilization both have amazing modding communities, and to just kind of expand on my previous point about a concern for modding opportunities, I think that just with modding in general, Firaxis and Paradox both need to be very careful in terms of how they handle their community. Now, Firaxis has built a very strong foundation upon which many people have been been able to build and experiment with tons of different mods like city lights, different terrain adjustments, and even new UI improvements, which has been just phenomenal. But I know, like, especially with franchises like Crusader Kings 2 and City Skylines and even Stellaris, modding has been taken to a whole nother level, even with EU4 and Hearts of Iron 2, especially with taxes with EU4, Mayo, and then the Kaiserreich mod for Hearts of Iron 4, just to name a few. Paradox has always just had a wonderful community. So I think, just as a final note, I don't want to speculate too much on Victoria 3. Here it is in all its glory. But I'm just really hoping that Victoria 3 continues to develop and establish a strong modding community so that they can continue to support the game and keep it active and fresh and relevant as the game, and I know this is thinking super far ahead in the future, like a decade maybe, but as the game is put off the shelf, proverbially speaking, of course, that the community is able to continue supporting the base game and all of that wonderful stuff. Experimenting with Paradox content and the community and just interacting with it has been fairly fun for me. So if you guys are interested in seeing more of this kind of content, I usually don't talk too much about Paradox outside from the occasional Stellaris coverage. I would love to continue covering the content, but if you guys want to see that, or if you don't like this kind of content and want to see some kind of other coverage for another kind of game, or just to see me stick to Civ 6, that's also perfectly fine with me. So please leave a like if you liked the video, leave a dislike if you didn't, and subscribe to see more content like this. Alright guys, I hope you have a great rest of your week, and as always, this has been Civ Extraordinaire. See you guys later. Peace.